I think Ron can hear us. Can you hear us right now, Ron?
Hey, how's it going, fellas? Thanks for having me today.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? So, hey, Ron, we just want you to quickly introduce yourself. Let us know what you do down in Dallas, where you work, and how you are kind of situated with the Cowboys.
Okay, once again, my name is Ron Murray. I work with K104FM. It's a hip-hop and R&B station, but we're definitely one of the tops in Dallas. You know, I have the unique situation to work at a hip-hop station, but I also cover sports. I've been covering the Cowboys, I would say, since about 2008, the last season at Texas Stadium. So with that, going out to practice, going out to games, going out in the locker room, I'll say it's just really been a blessing to be able to experience so many different things from Terrell Owens, Jason Witten, Tony Romo to, the 214 era with Zeke and Dak.
Yeah.
So I've really been able to see a lot of things. And just being in the Metroplex, there's so much going on. But, of course, with the Cowboys, they're always going to be main headlines. So I've definitely been able to see a lot during this time.
And I was going to jump into that. I have a couple Cowboys, favorite Cowboy currently and all time. But first, you were at the Cowboy rookie minicamp, correct?
Yes.
So I got to ask you, out of that rookie minicamp, who stood out the most out of the guys that we just, and it could even be an undrafted guy or one of the guys we took first, second, but to you with the eye test, who stood out to you?
To me, this is who stood out to me because, of course, with this draft, a lot of people, some people didn't think it was the most sexiest draft, but I feel it was a draft that could definitely help the Cowboys in the future. So what stuck out with me were the two offensive linemen, Tyler Smith out of Tulsa, went in the first round. And, it's even better that he's from Fort Worth. He's a local guy. So with that, he was playing tackle and guard. So that's something that he could definitely figure into the future now. And also the other big tackle out of North Dakota that they drafted, Matt Waletzko, with that. So those are the two things that really popped out with me. And then another person that definitely stood out was Marquise Bell, undrafted free agent out of FAMU. One thing Coach Will McClay does, the VP of player personnel, he always does a great job finding undrafted free agents, being able to bring them in and make them solid players. Because even when you look around the league, if you scour the rosters a little bit, you can see a lot of guys who are undrafted free agents at one point with the Cowboys, and they go on to have success in other places. So I would say the two old linemen, because they're probably going to bring the most impact earliest of the rookie guys, if you ask me.
Hell yeah. I have a question about those guys. Are they as big as they look on TV? Are they some big dudes?
Yes, monstrous. Because I would say the difference between NFL guys, like NBA guys are giants. So, of course, being down here in Dallas, Dirk Nowitzki, Luka, seeing all those guys, those guys are legit giants. But with football players, they're more monstrous. The build, the size. It's like, I don't even want you to fall on me wrong. You might flat. So, of course, with that, they are as big as advertised, yes.
Okay, before I jump into another question, we drink while we podcast. I don't know if you drink, but we crack them if we got them. So let me just get that right there. My next question for you is, coming into the 2022 season, who on the team besides Dak do you think needs to step up the most to kind of get us past those shitty fucking first-round exits? Like, what do we got to do to finally get past these brutal wild card or divisional round losses that we're so accustomed to? Who has to step up?
I would say this, and of course, I do think it's a team game, not necessarily want to put on one person. I'm definitely interested to see what CeeDee Lamb does because now he is the guy. He is the one. Of course, with Amari Cooper gone, even though Cedric Wilson, no matter what people may think about him, but he played a big impact in the passing game. So now with CeeDee Lamb here, he has the 88 for a reason. I think he's definitely going to have to show everybody why he's the guy, why he has the 88, and not putting all the burden on his shoulders, but I think it's really going to be up to him to be that star on offense that everyone expects him to be.
It's funny that you said CeeDee Lamb because this episode's kind of built like we have a lot of articles we're going to dive in later about CeeDee Lamb, and we're kind of saying the same thing. It's time for CeeDee. Like, he doesn't have the Amari Cooper defense anymore. He has, you got the number, you got the 88. It's time to put your big boy pants on, and you got to be that 12 to 1,400 yards, 10 touchdown guy. For us to be successful, he has to be that person.
Oh, most definitely. I agree with that because you don't pick him in the first round for anything. And now there's going to be more opportunities. And, of course, with the rookie class, Jalen Tolbert there, he's going to have opportunities as well. But now it's going to be interesting to see how people how CeeDee Lamb is schemed for, where he's not just in the slot now. Now he's going to be more on the outside. So, you're going to be schemed as a number one receiver. Not saying other teams didn't, but now you're definitely the number one receiver, and there's no Coop Blanket, no Cedric Wilson who can come out and have big plays with the gadget situation. So, yes, definitely looking for CD to do big things.
So I know you said that big Tyler Smith was a Fort Worth guy. You do cover a little bit of high school football, don't you?
Oh, yes, most definitely. So, of course, with Texas, high school football is religion.
Hell yeah.
So with that, Tyler Smith, Fort Worth guy, he went to North Crowley. I've been to a few North Crowley games. So it's really just amazing how things come full circle. The head coach at North Crowley now, he's one of my cousins. So That's definitely a great thing to see. And, I always love when guys come back to the area, but not just, of course, putting on the star, but when they put on the star and they come back and give to the kids, come back to the high schools, because then you're being able to sow a dream into them to say, hey, I was able to get here, you can too. So, yeah, most definitely. I love the high school aspect because I'm able to give back so much to the community, especially with some kids where when it comes to athletics, the high school aspect, that's going to be it for them. So if I'm able to show them some love, shout them out on the radio, that could turn their whole day around. I love that aspect.
No, 100%. It's kind of funny. We're from Canada, so we try to do our best with like following guys coming up to the draft. Like we were down in the draft. And,
that's awesome.
And when Tyler Smith got drafted, I was kind of like, who?
Tyler Smith.
I just had my brain set on so many other guys, but now diving into him and watching some tape on him, I'm like the reverse engineered draft guy. I wait till we draft players and then I like fully dive in to watch everything about him. And the more I watch about him and the move to guard, I just couldn't be any happier with that player. And I know there was a little bit of controversy when we first took him, but I'm super excited. Like you said, not the sexiest pick, but if he can get, 3-yard separation off the line of scrimmage, that's what I want. I want us to get back to running the ball and really dominating on the line of scrimmage.
And I agree with you, because let's look at the success when the Cowboys were had. It starts at the line of scrimmage. So I feel the Cowboys, they should have probably been trying to rebuild the offensive line. Maybe they took too long to rebuild the offensive line, if you ask me. And Connor Williams, that situation didn't go as we thought it would. Lael Collins, he left in free agency. So now you have to get younger and find guys who can play right now, because Tyron Smith, he's going to go into the Ring of Honor, but we're watching him break down in front of our eyes. So you got to get youth in there and new blood in there to just be able to step up, and hopefully they can, put something together and start running that ball again.
100%. Couldn't agree more. AJ, you got anything you want to ask there, buddy guy?
Yeah, I got two questions. Number one, how much influence did you have on the coach becoming your cousin? And number two, Tony Pollard, where do you see him playing this year? He's like has been one of my favorite players since I become a new baby fan here of the Cowboys. So just throw those two questions at you.
All right, so I'll go with the latter first. So with Tony Pollard, I'm a big Tony Pollard fan. He was able to come in. He was definitely able to make an impact. I think people just want to see it more consistent now, because when he was having success, there was even rumbles thinking that, he could rival Zeke, possibly take that spot. And it may be one day, but I don't think it is right now. But I think with more reps and with a better offensive line, he'll be able to pop out and have more explosive plays. So I'm definitely a Tony Pollard fan and want to see him do more this upcoming season. So my cousin, who's the head coach at North Crowley, so I give him his credit. He's putting a lot of work in around the area. So I'm real proud of him. He's going to be out there in Fort Worth. His name is Ray Gates. And him and Tyler Smith, they've already hooked up. So I love seeing that. So he's already showing love back to his alma mater. So shout out to North Crowley.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Ron, we got a quick question from our chat. TikTok fame influencer 21 Armando 21. Crack me if you got him, Alex. He has a question for you. What do you think about the current tight end situation with Schultz and Ferguson?
This is how I feel about that. I feel it's going to be something where they can be both productive in the pass game. They can also be productive in the run game. And really, we've had Jason Witten for so long, and I think some people are still looking for that star power tight end, but I don't think that's what the offense needs right now. It needs to just be able to be great at a high level. And I think with Shelton, I believe with the tight ends, they can do that. So I think the Cowboys are going the right way. And, depending how you feel about the big contracts and such, but I think the Cowboys are going to be all right with that.
No, you know what? We would love to find another Jason Witten, but that guy's a generational player in the NFL.
Correct.
In the NFL, there's only so many Jason Wittens, and it is going to take two guys to replace what Jason Witten did.
I agree.
Jason Witten was a great blocker. He was the slowest guy in the field, was always open though.
He ran 2 routes, but they were great.
Ran 2 routes, but he mastered them. It's like he catches the ball and you're like, Witten, if you were just 2 seconds faster, you got a touchdown. But he always made those catches. And this is a good segue into my next question. Favorite current Cowboy, and then also to follow that up after, favorite all-time Cowboy.
So I would say my favorite current Cowboy. Ooh, y'all trying to get me in trouble in life. I would say my favorite current Cowboy. I'm gonna go ahead and all right. This may be cliche, but I'm gonna go with Dak and Zeke.
Hell yeah.
And the reason and I say that because I feel that they've been able to go, even though we may not have had the playoff success right now, they've delivered. No matter what you think about that. I feel Dak and Zeke, they both delivered and they deserve what they have. And then along with that, they're very much so in the community in Dallas. So that's the part I love as well, to where it's just not in the field, it's also off the field. Dak, he just had a big shindig with his foundation. So I love that. And I would say probably my favorite all-time Cowboy, it probably has to go with Larry Allen. There's not many offensive linemen we've seen be able to do what he has done, run guys down when it comes to information. It does put the whole weight room on the rack and just start benching it. And then he just, like, you don't see a lot of offensive tackles like that. So I will go with Larry Allen as far as like one of my favorite all-time Cowboys.
It's funny that you say Larry Allen, because I don't know who posted it. Someone on Instagram, when I'm just scrolling, looking through all the Dallas Cowboys posts, it showed Aikman throw an interception to the Saints. And the guy just has green ahead of him, and it's like the dude in Happy Gilmore. That's Aikman's ball, like just flying down the field and catches the guy that's probably 70 pounds lighter than him and has no business running him down. And just a guy like that, no quit, and like you said, strong as an ox, and another guy that's hard to find.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from chat there, bro, or do I can go into another one here?
Yeah, you go. I mean, there's a couple of questions still about the Schultz stuff.
Actually, from your last with the Zeke and Dak thing, I want to ask you about Zeke a little bit. There's a lot of hate for Zeke in the Cowboys Nation. I love Zeke. He's probably one of my favorite players. He's an awesome blocker. Maybe has he slowed down a little bit in the last few years? Possibly. I still think he, to me, could be a very productive back in the NFL. Is his cap hit kind of hurting us? Maybe a little bit. But what do you think? What are we going to do with Zeke after this season?
I think after this season, this is going to be all beyond Zeke, but I'm not blaming all of him because we just talked about the offensive line issues. It hasn't been what it has been before. So, of course, that production is going to go down. And just as life goes, Zeke is a little bit older. And, of course, Tony Pollard, he's there to put pressure. But I think the Zeke hate is unfair in a lot of ways. And to your point, people they underestimate the blocking part of it, especially when it comes to pass pro and to seeing what Dak has been able to do. But yes, do people want to see more production from Zeke? And I think he's able to do it, but it is going to start at the offensive line. So I think that hate is a little bit unfair for him.
And it is unfair. We were looking at his stats last week. He had over 1,000 yards. He had 4.2 yards per carry, 260 carries. If you want him to have more yards, give him the ball more. He was getting 4.2 yards a carry, which is a good yards per carry for a running back. And how many times, like you said, with our blocking, they give the ball to Zeke, and before he even has a chance, there's a guy in the backfield. And he usually shakes the first guy and gets back to the line of scrimmage.
Correct. And I think a lot of that butt hurtness comes from, sitting out, the whole contract dispute situation. I think some fans haven't gotten over that, but I don't think Zeke has. There are plenty of teams around the NFL that would want Ezekiel Elliott.
Hell yes.
So sometimes you have to be grateful for what you have, or you'll have a platoon of running backs of guys that no one has heard of, and then you're looking for all new running backs the next year. So sometimes you got to be grateful for what you have sometimes.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I'm going to give you one last question before we let you get out of here. And it's put on a lot because we're going to come back to this at the end of the season. And at every guest we have, we're going to make them do this. I want you to predict the Cowboys 2022 season record and and give us a reason why they're going to have that success or why they won't have that success.
So it's not going to surprise me at all if the Cowboys go around 12-5. It's not going to surprise me because if you look at the schedule, and I was doing this before we went on air. So you have the AFC South. You know, they're going to go through that. Then, of course, the NFC North, looking how that'll go. The only thing that I'm worried about this season, and I've been thinking about this for years because I've always wondered, is the Cowboys' window of a Super Bowl close to being closed. Because when Dak and Zeke got drafted in the same year, it was amazing. It was fantastic. No one would have guessed that. But when you look at how the Eagles are, even though the Cowboys killed the Eagles this year, they're getting better each year. Even a team like the Commanders, and we saw how the Giants drafted. So I think the Cowboys right now is in the mode of emergency to say, hey, let's get the most out of all the things that we can do right now, especially with this rookie class, to see if we can get to that championship level. But I think 12-5, that's not a crazy thing. And I think it's at least NFC East championship or bust. That's how I felt last season. But we saw what happened with the San Francisco 49ers. So myself, I say 12-5 and at least the NFC East championship is very plausible. Even last year, yes, the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl, but in the playoffs, we saw how open the NFC really was. It really didn't have a dominating team. And if the Cowboys can get past the 49ers, there's no telling the type of damage they can. But if it was a fifth, crack it open, so I'll leave it at that right there.
You're a smart man. I also predicted that 12-5. So if we don't go 12-5, maybe we go, like, I also have predicted 17-0 in a Super Bowl as a joke.
On Madden, that can happen. On Madden,
it can happen. But hey, Ron, we appreciate having you on. We'd love to have you back on. You're very insightful, and you got street cred down in Dallas. You got an in, and we're looking for as many ins as we can get.
Us Canadians,
I appreciate it.
It's cold. It's cold up here, and sometimes it can feel isolated. As soon as we tell people that we're Cowboys fan, they're like, "You're Canadian." We're like, "Yeah, so you're cheering for America's team."
We're trying to just inch our way into Cowboys lore right now, and
that's awesome.
We love having you on.
A very good friend from Toronto, so that's awesome.
Hell yeah, buddy. Well, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you, fellas. Y'all be great.
Yeah, have a good night, man.
Thanks, Ron.
They bring the noise. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys.